So once you know the people, can we forget the process and don't worry about process at all? And then these guys will take care of it, or we have to worry about it.
We have to.
Okay, like how?
Because it's the process that will give you the direction exactly. Because even if you know the people, or it doesn't matter which people are coming from, you still have to get them abided to the process, because end of the day, it's everything evolves around the process. You have to set a process in place, the start, the middle, the end, and checkpoints. Yeah.
So if we go literally, also a process is repeatable set of actions. So
Right.
we have to keep a tab on that. Yeah.
That's awesome. And if you are engaging with people and you're tapping their creativity, don't forget our business is a set of processes, right? And we have to follow that repeatable process and not experiment and reinvent the wheel every time. So while as a project manager, you have to understand on creating and tapping the potential of our human capital. At the same time, we have to have processes in place to deliver. And these processes could be, process about managing risks, managing stakeholders, dealing with communications, dealing with resources, budgets, timelines, and making sure that the business value is delivered.
And I think process will remain almost the same, but the people might change. Right? Once you have a defined process for the next project, we can adopt the same process probably, but the new set of people will be taking over that project.
That is another good thing and the bad thing. For example, in recent layoffs, companies lost 10,000, 15,000 people, right? 10%. Google, big companies like Apple, Google, Facebook, they all laid off 10%, 15% people. Now, so how do you conduct business as usual, right? You need to have a process in place. You need to have a system of communication. Who talks to whom? Who are the stakeholders? How do we talk to them? How do we document data? What are the risks happening in a project? Documentation of that, right? Engaging stakeholders, talking to them, making things happen, dealing with the timelines, resources, budgets, modifications in budgets, but at the same time, making sure that the value is delivered in the project, irrespective of people. Now, this sounds a little crazy because how do you do it when on the one hand, you talk about people, but on the other hand, you talk about process?
I think process is very important because every time, and I've seen that in my experience also, when you just proceed with something without keeping process in place, things start to fall apart. And when they start to fall apart, you realize that because you did not abide by the process and you just went ad hoc, probably.
Very good, very good.
So I think in layman terms, if we are driving a car, a red light would mean that we need to stop.
Yeah.
So I think even at a workplace, having some set rules, directions, guidelines definitely keeps everybody in check.
Very good, excellent. So if there's a red light, you have to stop. If there's a green light, you have to go. If there's a yellow light, hurry up. You don't have much time left. We are approaching the deadline, right? So that is an indicator. But if you're in Delhi, you can cross the red light, nobody will catch you.
So we talk about Delhi. Trust me, in Brampton also things are not very much better.
In California also, there's a red light in Fremont where I live. This is so confusing. Right turn you can take, but I got 3 tickets on the right turn.
Oh my God.
Yeah. $500. Yeah. Even though it says right, then when I went to the court, it says you were supposed to take a pause.
Stop. Yeah.
And then stop, and within seconds take a right.
Yeah.
It's a defined process, and the camera captures that process.
Yeah. There are some red lights over here in California where you have to stop before taking a turn.
Or for the right turn, right?
Yeah.
On the red light.
Yeah.
So that's
especially.
Yeah.
Especially if it's not green.
Yeah.
So in Brampton, even if it's the signal is that it's for pedestrian crossing, you have to keep your eyes, ears, everything open and keep really frantically looking every time, because there can be a vehicle coming from nowhere. I don't know. So
There's something called a process of acculturation, right, and deculturation. Because I moved from India, from Delhi, and in Delhi I used to drive crazy, and then I came to San Francisco. And you imagine San Francisco has like ups and downs, and this street goes left, but the other street cannot go right.
Yeah.
So many rules, and I would get every month one ticket. So in my expense item, I added one head ticket. But then after some time, you get used to it, right? That's another thing with humans, right? We go through the process of culture, deculturation and acculturation. And that's also important for a project manager to understand, because the team members could be experiencing that in their real life scenarios.
Yeah.
Right. So having a sense of that is very important. Now, from a PMBOK perspective, friends, when we say process, you will see in the next presentation, that it means process of communicating, process of managing risks, process of handling stakeholders, process of handling resources and budgets, timelines, right? Process of making sure that the business value is delivered, right? That's the idea here.
Mhm.
So as a project manager, we make sure that the project stays within the scope, right? Because often projects go away in different directions. We started off with something, but we went in different direction. Good and bad. Good, if you are building something new which you don't know, human creativity will lead us there. But if you're doing a well-defined project, waterfall, then it's not good. In a waterfall project, you have to know the requirements and deliver those requirements. Right? Wrong? Agree, disagree?
Agree.
Right? You have to also make sure that the timelines are managed.
Yeah.
Project planning is done properly.
Mhm.
So the process is a lot about timeline, scope, planning, deliverables, quality, high quality deliverables. Oh, this is a little smaller, but changes, do changes happen in projects?
All the time.
So as a good project manager, do we orchestrate them? Do we lead them? And do we make sure they are implemented, or we avoid them?
Make sure that there is a change process in place that they should follow.
Because see, some changes are good, some changes are not good.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
So changes that are good have to be executed. So as a good project manager, we try to understand that, hey, change is a constant, right? Everything will change. But the question is how much, and how does it relate to our goals? Is it aligned with our vision of the project? Do we deal with procurement, suppliers, vendors?
Yeah. Yes.
And how do we deal with them?
Making sure that they understand when the project deliverables and milestones and schedules are, mostly that they wouldn't be the bottleneck for our deliveries.
Very good, very good. So dealing with suppliers, right? Planning and managing procurement. And what do we expect from them? Communicating with them. And then dealing with contracts.
Mhm.
and the solution to achieve your goal, and the alignment of contracts with that goal. How about artifacts and methodology and governance? Are they important? Why artifact? What are artifacts and why are they important? What do we mean by the word artifact? And why is it a process, and how does that help?
Are these requirements called artifacts? Come under artifacts, Dr. Sam? I'm not sure.
Any tangible outcome, right?
Outcome.
A report, a deliverable is an artifact, right? What you get as a result of doing something.
Okay. Okay.
That you store somewhere and use that as you go along.
Right. Right. For instance, like, the code repository.
Code repository could be an artifact where you deposit the code, which is the deliverable for the current phase or the next phase. For example, version controls, right?
Right.
Mhm.
Project files and records,
SharePoint, yeah.
SharePoint, data repositories, databases.
Yeah.
Should the project manager be involved in defining the methodology of the project?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes, especially to the stakeholders, making them aware of what plans we have set in place, communicating within their stakeholders and the team.
Very good, excellent. So should the project manager be involved in incremental versus iterative discussion, waterfall versus adaptive, hybrid, which is the right methodology for our project? Or it is often given to him?
It's a
I
teamwork.
think-
Oh, go ahead.
Because see, we are talking about PMP and project manager. So our focus here is what is the scope of the work of the project manager, right? In real life, sometimes this all comes from the top. And that is why we are trying to engage in a discussion to understand the relevance that why projects fail, right? This guy is just given, go do this. And here we are saying, no, he should be involved or she should be involved in the decision of which methodology to choose for this project.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely the project manager should be engaged in that discussion. Maybe the final word wouldn't be, or maybe that would be a team, a decision at the end, but that discussion should happen to make sure that everyone understand and everyone agree to what would be the right methodology to follow.
I think sometimes a project manager or program manager also has to set methodologies in how to get the project done also, even if it is to the stakeholders, because they would know the best approaches. If they want to use a waterfall approach, or they can go by an agile approach, like what kind of an approach they can use for delivering a certain project given. They should also have the art or the skill to propose a methodology to the stakeholders versus just participate in what's coming from them and abide by that. They should set for methodologies in place as well.
Very good. And also maybe understand from the stakeholders what they want, what their expectations are.
Yeah.
And maybe what they expect is not right.
Yeah.
And maybe what they expect is not in line with the requirements of the project, and then negotiating with the project, with the stakeholders to build a consensus.
Yeah. And if not, then probably find a common ground for both.
Find a common ground and make sure that ground is understood by the team, and the conflicts are resolved, and then things are moving in the right direction. And then there's a system of governance to see that everything is getting done and everything is being evaluated and measured.
Right.